Modern marvels.
The M250 caliber and the smaller M1917 30 caliber served with the U.S. Army basically unchanged in the Korean War and through the 1950s. The unparalleled reliability of the Browning machine guns was the reason for their long, successful service record. Following the Korean War, the rifleman's M1 Garand rifle was replaced with the M14 rifle. Unlike the M1, the M14 could fire in bursts or fully automatic like the BAR. It was also time to replace the older machine guns with more capable, lighter, base-of-fire weapons.
During the Second World War, Americans captured examples of the MG-42 in North Africa. They were extremely impressed with the weapon. Although they felt the rate of fire was too high, they marveled at its simplicity, its reliability, and its ease of manufacture.
These important features, which proved very successful for the Germans' MG-42, were carefully tested and re-examined.
When it comes time for us to redesign a new machine gun with interchangeable barrel, our designers take the German idea of the feed plate and feed mechanism in the MG-42 and design our gun around that particular feed mechanism.
The M60 general-purpose machine gun, first introduced in 1959, used the reliable gas-driven bolt action of the World War I Lewis gun and BAR, the feed mechanism of the German MG-42, and the quick-change barrel feature of the British Bren gun.
If you open up the feed plate cover of an M60 and the MG-42, you're going to find that they're going to be identical.
At 550 to 600 rounds a minute, the rate of fire of the M60 was not that much higher than the weapons it replaced. But the improved design was much better suited to the requirements of modern combat. But early tests of the first M60s revealed flaws.
There are a few problems with it. One of the things is that you cannot change the barrel with a handle. You have to grab the thing with a mitt that's issued with the gun. But it's still a very good gun. Used to great effect in Vietnam.
In the jungles of Vietnam, firefights came fast and furious. Firepower had to be brought to bear quickly and accurately. The M60 machine gun was the weapon that often made the difference for the soldiers and Marines on the battlefield. Variants of the M60 could be fitted above the skids of Huey helicopters. A sighting linkage allowed the guns to be aimed and fired from inside the cockpit. M60 machine guns turned the vulnerable troop transports into lethal gunships. Machine guns mounted in the open doors gave gunners greater flexibility. M60s pouring thousands of rounds into the dense green jungle seemed almost symbolic of the frustrations of fighting the war in Vietnam.
One of the most interesting developments in the past few decades has been the rebirth of the Gatling gun. In the 1950s and 60s, the Air Force in particular was interested in developing weapons that had a higher rate of fire than the traditional aircraft machine gun. The Gatling proved to be the perfect answer, in that with a 6-barrel Gatling gun firing at a rate of, say, 3,600 rounds a minute, each barrel was being fired only at a 600 round per minute rate of fire. With the blast of air going down each open bore, this was sufficiently slow to keep the weapon cool enough to operate.
Multi-barreled rotary machine guns were used in many ways and offered one other tremendous advantage.
Powered by an external source, it was not affected by duds or misfires. The weapon simply ejected the live cartridge case that had not fired along with the empties.
On the A-10 Warthog, a 30-millimeter Gatling gun puts the bust in Tank Buster, firing armor-piercing shells of depleted uranium at up to 4,000 rounds a minute. The A-10's gun decimated Iraqi armor during the Persian Gulf War. Today's infantry depends on many familiar weapons. The M250 caliber still lives up to its reputation, and the M60 general-purpose machine gun remains a base of fire weapon. Withdrawn from the inventory after Vietnam, but recently returned to use by the Marines, the Mark 19 launches 40-millimeter grenades at a rate of 375 rounds a minute. A new weapon that significantly boosts the firepower of the Marines is the SAW, the squad automatic weapon.
The squad automatic weapon, it's called the M249 squad automatic weapon. It shoots 5.56 bullet, which is the same bullet that's also fired by an M16. The ammunition comes in a drum of 200 rounds. It also can fire the same magazine that M16 fires. It's an air-cooled, strictly automatic weapon, and that weapon is used primarily to suppress enemy targets in order to hold their heads down while the Marines are moving up onto an objective.
A Marine squad consists of 13 men, a leader, and 3 4-man fire teams. They alternate rushing an objective so that not all of the men are exposed to enemy fire at the same time. Each man uses his weapon to cover the advance of the others. Three members of each fire team carry the M16 rifle.
And then the backbone or the firepower, the main punch of that fire team is the last man who carries the squad automatic weapon.
The lethality of the modern battlefield could send infantrymen fleeing for trenches like their World War I forefathers. But it is the machine gun, mobile firepower, that keeps the infantry moving forward to win their objective.
Tonight on History's Mystery Saturday, this guy from New Jersey is getting a crash course in surviving a vacation from hell. You kind of wish he paid more attention to the State Department warning about guerrilla kidnappings in Ecuador. But if he can just recall 1 or 2 things now about counter-terror, he could psych out his captors and come home alive. Tonight at 9 on the History Channel.